The current worst games of 2024.
Number 10. It's South Park Snow Day. Now, before South Park, The Stick of Truth came out and ended up being one of the best TV show to video game adaptations of all time,
The Stick of Truth in general is a really, really good game. And most South Park games before The Stick of Truth have been completely giant misses. They're horrible, in fact. And there have been a lot of them over the years, honestly.
was 1998's South Park. This was like this weird little miserable first-person shooter where you throw snowballs at turkeys in really weird, bleak
Looks like a dodgeball, honestly.
environments. This game was notoriously terrible. So now, even though South Park Snow Day is meant to be a follow-up to The Stick of Truth, it's really more like the first-person shooter from back in the day.
This looks like South Park tried to recreate some kind of Bayonetta-style action game and completely failed. Just from this alone, I can already tell that, yeah, this game's really bad.
It's boring, it's empty, and it barely is even funny. Even though they're wearing the costumes and for some reason continuing the story from the last two actually good South Park games, this one is not an RPG, and it has pretty much nothing to do with those old games. It's like the video game equivalent of Stolen Valor.
Wow, this is so bad. You would have to pay me big money to play this, honestly. Wow, this looks really terrible.
Look, Cartman is dressed up like a wizard. This is gonna be good, you might say if you played Stick of Truth, right? No, this is boring. You're just running through these dull levels, engaging in some really lifeless, forgettable combat. Now, it's more fun with friends, but I mean, you could say that about anything at this point. Watching paint dry is more fun with friends. The game
It's actually pretty entertaining in that situation, yeah.
just isn't good enough. It's like they even took a step backwards with the graphical style. They figured out how to make a South Park game look like the South Park show, and then with Snow Day, they went back on all that and made weird.
Yeah, this looks horrible. This looks like 3D rendering on anime or something like that. This does not look good at all.
Weird, fully 3D graphics. I don't know what the idea was with this one, but it was a bummer for South Park fans for sure.
The sound is so bad.
Next, over at number 9, we have Silent Hill: The Short Message. This is a free game. It was released for free. How can that be disappointing? Well, it is. It managed to find a way. It's been 12 years since we've actually gotten a real game in the series.
Is this not at least evocified Silent Hill as the new one? With, you know, the girl protagonist that's pretty much the equivalent of, no, she does not want to go with you. Oh, jeez.
Series, I think. And, you know, most people don't think Silent Hill Ascension counts. And now, after all this, this is what they gave us. This is what Konami gave us. You don't want to judge it too harshly because it's free, but even going easy on this, like, bite-sized little story game, it's just...
What is this? An art student was thrown into Silent Hill? Jeez, man, that looks so sad.
Still not good enough.
Oh, wow. Man, I got scared right there a lot. Oh, she opened the door. That is funny. Man, that is some funny stuff. Yeah.
Sure, it's got Silent Hill elements. At least it borrows from the most superficial elements of the second game, like an otherworld and an unkillable stalker character, but it's all very surface level Silent Hill. It doesn't actually feel like those old games in the ways that really should count. Even that would be acceptable, I guess, if the gameplay wasn't so basic and the writing wasn't so abysmally bad. The idea of a Silent Hill story which involves high schoolers isn't a terrible idea, but all this story can manage is a collection of cliches. The central conflict barely boils down to
Dixie, you love it. Nice. Yeah, that's what I want from my Silent Hill.
Anything. It's completely ridiculous, and it's impossible to take seriously because nothing about this even feels real. There's nothing else to even focus on. The gameplay is extremely basic. You know, you just walk around, you walk forward to progress the story, and
this looks like it was designed, handcrafted with the modern audiences in mind. And this is why we hate modern audiences and all that ESG and woke shit.
Occasionally run from a monster, that's it. So the entire experience is riding on the quality of storytelling, and it just falls flat on its face. Halfway through 2024, this Silent Hill revival project isn't going so hot.
Antidepressants, I have taken enough medicine. Yep, this is definitely for modern audiences.
We're 0 for 2 so far, so get it together, Konami. Oh man, next at number 8, we have Star Wars, the Battlefront Classic Collection. This should have been a layup. I mean, at the time this collection came out, you could buy and play these games on PC and they'd work just fine. The original pandemic developed...
Dude, the disappointment that was this is absolutely insane. Less maps, less everything, really bad. Horrible launch, everything was painful.
Star Wars Battlefront games are beloved and respected to this day. I played the hell out of these, and there are a lot of other people who prefer these to the EA-made follow-ups. There's just a certain charm that these old games have that the modern games kind of lack. They're far from perfect games, but they're fun, and it would have been nice to get a slightly cleaned up version of those old games that fix a few technical issues on PC, add matchmaking, and make those playable on modern consoles. It should have been a license to print money when they released this thing, but the final product at launch was so slipshod and incomplete that the player base bailed, and the whole thing is pretty much dead now. There are so many unforced errors here. The massive file size from the upscaled textures that still look pretty bad, the introduction of new bugs and glitches, the terrible performance in multiplayer, and the server issues on launch day, the whole thing was a mess. And even though some of that has been fixed quite a bit...
I think it's still a mess. Not a lot has been fixed. It's dead, so why even bother fixing it? Effectively, that's how this goes.
It was really just too little too late. Like, what was the idea here, guys? The Battlefront Classic Collection should have never come out in the state it was in, and they probably shouldn't have used...
But of course it did come out in this state, because it's a cash grab, and everyone honestly knows and understands that. That's the problem with these things. Whenever you see a remaster of something, you know it's a cash grab. You know they're doing it just for money. Because sometimes they succeed and a lot of people buy it and then it's always bad. Which was the last remaster that people did not call garbage and a failure? I can't even remember. Has there ever been one?
Uncredited mod assets either, but that's a whole other story. Next over at number 7, this one's interesting. It's Homeworld 3. This one it was a very long time coming. Homeworld 2 released way back in 2003. And while it's not everyone's favorite...
Really? Did Homeworld disappoint that hot? Oh, wait, it's this one. Oh, yeah, I kind of understand it.
Homeworld game. This series has a small but rabid fan base who will just latch onto anything even remotely Homeworld related. There's nothing quite like these games. On the surface, they're RTS games, but the three-dimensional movement and like the unique atmosphere really makes them stand out. Now, when Homeworld 3 was announced, people were cautiously optimistic, but when some fans started playing the final product, well, the Metacritic user score...
Yeah, the controls were bad, the game was completely changed, and the story was a lot of question marks, to say the least.
Says it all. Now, is Homeworld 3 that bad? No. I will say no way. It's not going to end up...
Well, it's not that bad. That's the thing, but it is bad. It is worse, and there's no reason for it to be worse, especially the story. Jesus, the story is stupid.
On any like worst games of the year lists or anything like that, but it is disappointing for some, and that score is more reflective of that. Many gameplay features that...
Oh, and the soundtrack also is kind of like meh.
Worked just fine in the original games are not working as well in this one. The default unit scaling is bizarre, pathfinding can apparently be pretty messy, units won't really quite do what you want them to. In some aspects, it just feels like a little bit of a step down from a game that came out more than 20 years ago. And the story, unfortunately,
is complete garbage. The story is probably the worst part about this and why people are disappointed, because it's really dumb. It feels like there was 100 writers, and then they each wrote a small segment, and then they tried to make it stick together, almost.
Is just not worth it. It is not great. Take all the worst things about StarCraft 2's writing and multiply them here. It's just a storm of cheesy characters and cliched writing, which is wild because we already have a modern game that's much closer to the style and atmosphere of the original Homeworld games. It's Homeworld Deserts of Karak. Now, that game more or less nailed what people wanted out of a Homeworld game without being set in space. So what went wrong here? Until we get some kind of post-mortem, it's impossible to say. If you're not a huge Homeworld fan and can look past some iffy gameplay spots and bad writing, then again,
some iffy gameplay spots. Okay, I don't know if I would say that this is some iffy gameplay spots, but okay.
it is not a terrible game. But for some of the really hardcore Homeworld people who were literally still playing Homeworld 2 right up until this point, those people are disappointed. Now over at number 6, we have Foamstars. This
What? I don't even know what that is.
hollow attempt to mimic Splatoon actually had some promising ideas and could have been a fun alternative to people who were getting tired of playing as a squid who was also a kid. But the lack of creativity in the game modes and frankly the absurd amount of microtransactions
It looks bugged honestly already. What the is that supposed to happen?
and stuff just kind of made this one a wash. Where Splatoon is unique and characterful, Foamstars feels bland. It feels like corporately mandated fun with flat Fortnite-like characters running around these dull, sparkly arenas. And for some reason,
Well, that's how being cheap and trying to copy something that sold well and did good usually ends up being, to be honest.
and even though you're explicitly not squids, who are kind of famous for releasing
Does anyone even care about this? Does anyone even know what this is? It just looks dull. There's a lot of things happening on the screen. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to care about anything of this. I think moving on is the right choice.
Next over at number 5, Endless Ocean Luminous. Now, if you're a Nintendo fan, this actually had some real hype behind it. It was revealed in the February Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase and was the premiere trailer. It was the last one shown, which is usually reserved for something pretty big. Even if you don't care about the Endless Ocean series, the trailer and its placement got some people's attention. So it's disappointing just how kind of, mid-tier, mediocre the final product ended up being. The concept is great, sort of like a more exploration
What is the concept? You need to find fish?
oriented Subnautica, but the execution is fatally flawed. Here's the one thing that sunk this game. It's randomly generated. So
This looks boring.
the environment you explore is different every time you go back to it, which is supposed to make it endlessly interesting, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Listen, I'll give you a quick hack to understand this. If a game like this is good or bad, look at the minimap. If it's complete trash, then the game is probably trash. Works almost always.
Here, it had the opposite effect. Nothing is handmade, nothing really feels like it has any purpose behind it, so it just feels like a jumble of assets in the middle of an empty-looking ocean.
Dude, that's some Zelda noises right there. What the hell? Completely not what I would expect from a diving game.
Tasseled Wabagong. This shark is wide and flat.
And they have a free text-to-speech device reading the text. Ouch.
Its color and pattern blend into the sand or reek tasseled Wabagong. This shark.
It's not even good, wow.
Now, the wildlife can look awesome, but everything else is just boring. There are no deep sea trenches to explore or secrets to uncover because it's all just random stuff spread around equally. Subnautica knew that a carefully crafted world is so much more interesting to explore.
Obviously.
Unfortunately, Endless Ocean Luminous was just boring.
After seeing what Bethesda has done with itself, how do people just release these random generated open world garbage games and think, yes, we can succeed? No.
And got very middling reviews and was mostly forgotten about.
Oh lord, it's so unbelievably bad.
Next over at number 4, War Hospital. Now you may not have heard of this one, but there was actually a decent amount of excitement
I have
around
not.
War Hospital. The trailers were pretty slick, and the concept is a good one. It's a management game where you control a hospital during World War One. Come on, you got limited resources.
Well, that does sound kinda okay. A city builder where you survive wartime? That seems okay.
And a seemingly endless line of patients who need your help. There's potential there for a bleak but rewarding experience, kind of like a This War of Mine or Frostpunk mixed with Theme Hospital. What we got was a glorified mobile game full of bugs. That's kind of harsh, okay? But it's not far off. The gameplay is very basic, and far too much time is spent on like fiddly little bits like discharging patients and rotating staff, rather than the real high-level hospital management and like World War One stuff.
How did it happen? Was it a mistake or an oversight?
No, sir. It was just bad luck. The patient was too weak to
Oh man, that voice acting.
survive the operation, and we could do nothing more to save him. Maybe with better equipment we could do something, but the sad reality is that we cannot save them all.
The hardest part of the game is the first chapter, and then after that, like you're on cruise control for the rest of it. It's weirdly balanced. There's just not enough going on here to keep it interesting, and it's even lacking in thematic elements that would at least make the story engaging. It's just a misfire all around. It's just a dull, buggy experience that lacks the tactical depth and decision making you probably wanted.
So this is just a bad city builder game, got it. Kind of seems like it. I hate when city games, or you know, any game that's from above, uses this kind of cheap looking rain effect. It's just so bad.
If you want to play a bleak World War One game with a similar production value that's actually good, then check out Last Train Home. It's more of a management game, RTS hybrid, but the train management stuff is still more interesting than anything in this. Now at number 3, Phantom Fury. Now, Ion Fury was, and still is, one of the better games to come from the boomer shooter revival that we're currently knee-deep in. So when the trailer popped up for a sequel to Ion Fury, there was a lot of hype there. People wanted a follow-up, but not like this. Now, on paper, it sounds like the ideal sequel. It's gone fully 3D, there are tons of interactive environments and elements. It sounded kind of like Duke Nukem Forever that like we actually wanted. Then the demo came out, and it wasn't great. It was a total mess. The controls are not good, and the actual final game wasn't that bad, but it's unfortunately still not our favorite. At the very least, it's not as good as Ion Fury, the previous game. It was made by different
this just looks awkward.
people this time around. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Phantom Fury, it just isn't good enough. It's kind of janky. It's not the most fun to play. The ambition is there.
It looks a little bit too slow.
You gotta respect a dev who's trying to make a
At
Half-Life
the
2
bare
style
minimum.
game. That's never gonna be easy. But they needed to give this one more time in the oven. I mean, hey, it's I know we brought up Duke Nukem Forever, but like, respect, it's way better than Duke Nukem Forever, so that's good. But I digress.
Well, almost everything is better than Duke Nukem Forever. I go and take a crap, and congratulations, it's triple the quality of Duke Nukem Forever. Amazing.
Next, down at number 2, Skull and Bones. Sure, I know we've been like laughing at this one for years, kind of like rubbing our mitts together, reveling in every
It has been only out for a year or something. Come on, Skull and Bones is awesome.
delay and
50% female ESG score crew. What's not to love about it?
piece of bad news coming out of the studio.
Completely dull everything. You loot treasure, what do you get? A piece of wood. That's right, it's great, but it's high quality wood, yeah. Oh man.
Was making it just like we all joked that this was never going to come out, or it was like a huge, like Ubisoft was just burning money.
Man, I loved Skull and Bones.
But I gotta say,
Ubisoft didn't even burn any money on Skull and Bones. That is probably the most hilarious thing ever. They didn't. Skull and Bones was pretty much granted them for free by Singapore, of all places, if I remember correctly. They just upfronted them the money to make that. It's insane.
There were some people out there who were legit excited about this game. They just wanted a new pirate game to play, something to scratch that Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag itch, and an alternative to something like Sea of Thieves. Personally, I was still hoping for the best with this one, because I love pirate games. There aren't enough of them. But, unfortunately, right from the start, this thing was designed to disappoint. A new Ubisoft...
Dude, this even looks actually 10 times better when your actual experience is...
a pirate game, but you're just the boat, and you only control your character in small, non-interactive, floaty towns.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases, these small interactive floaty towns where you get missions are pretty much the equivalent of Starfield loading zones. You go in, congratulations, you've finished the mission. Where do you need to go next to do the main quest? Back in where you just came out of, yeah, just load screen in again. It's super stupid.
And little islands where you collect the treasure and just do multiplayer live service stuff. There's no shipboarding or ground-based combat at all.
Well, technically there is shipboarding, but you don't get to fight, you don't get to do anything, you just do a shitty animation and you're done.
Also, the actual ship-to-ship combat is simplified. It's a live service game, but you still have to pay full price for it. And yes, there will be a season pass and microtransactions.
Oh, Jesus, what the hell is this? Raging Tides, Chorus of Havoc, The Dragon's Wake. No, Into the Dragon's Wake, Shadows of the Deep. Wow. Battle Li Tiangning. Was she the one? Was she the owner of the largest pirate fleet in history by being a prostitute? Don't remember that one. Battle Hugwalk twins. No idea who they are. Battle Philippe Lepeste. Okay, think I know that one. Battle Mystery Rival. Don't know who that. There have been Indian pirates, but you know, no idea who could that even be.
Transactions. Wow. Are you excited yet? That is the pitch. There's not really anything good.
Also, there's just copy-pasted things. New takeover opportunities. New takeover opportunities. New takeover opportunities. The hell is this? Season rewards. Season rewards. Season rewards. Season rewards. All of this is stupid. Halloween event. Lunar New Year. Dragon Boat event. Yeah, it's Dragon Boat event. I thought I misread it. Yeah, this... Territory control. Wow, all of this looks stupid.
And I would say expectations were...
I'm surprised they didn't just completely give up. Wow.
Rock bottom for a lot of people, but the final product was still disappointing.
Yeah, look at this. My God.
For a lot of people, but the final...
What is the loot that you can loot as a pirate? Ale, cast iron ingots, ooh, cannonballs, grilled bread. Yeah, and a little bit of silver. Oh, this is so piratey. I love it.
Final product was still disappointing. It wasn't unplayable or anything, and some of the combat mechanics...
If you played this, you have brain damage, not gonna lie.
...and weapon designs were smooth, but the fun factor just wasn't really there. There's no sense...
There was no fun factor. The people who actually played this slop pretty much all said the same thing. Either you're overpowered and you one-shot things super easily, or you're underpowered and you get one-shot super easily. And when you're low level, that, you know, if you ever see anything that's even remotely higher level than you just need to run, otherwise you're instantaneously just God. It's so bad.
Sense of adventure or excitement, just boring fetch quests and your usual games as a service bloat. It's playable, but it's not engaging, which is kind of a problem for something that is supposed to be a forever game that's meant to, you know, monopolize your attention. As a live service game, this fails. As a regular game, I think it fails too. It's not a total disaster. I think it found a little bit of an audience, and you never know, Ubisoft might support it long term and blow it up into something like a For Honor.
Hell no.
Or a Rainbow Six Siege, but for us, it's not a disaster. Like, it's like not like a bug-ridden mess. It's just not a very fun game.
It's just crap. Yeah, this is pretty much the best that ever happens in this game, and this even happens kind of rarely.
Down at number 1, say it with me, you probably saw it coming. It's
Suicide
Suicide Squad Kill the
Squad.
Justice League. What else could
Surprised there's no Starfield here. That's kind of anticlimactic.
be number 1 at this point? I mean,
Oh no! Wait, Starfield was last year, right? Oh no!
I don't even know where to start. Rocksteady went from making the Arkham games,
No one cares about Rocksteady. Rocksteady is dead. The people left in Rocksteady are not the people who made the Arkham games. All of them are gone. If they made an Arkham game, it would be as bad as this slop, so be happy that they didn't make an Arkham game, honestly. But, again, just look at this. This world is a disaster area. It's just stupid. Nothing makes sense. What the fuck? It's so bad. Man, when you make a world that looks like a giant box of diarrhea, you're crazy.
I don't even know where to start. Rocksteady went from making the Arkham games, the most innovative and exciting mainstream Batman games, and then they pivoted to this, an undercooked live service game. The frustrating
This is overcooked, okay?
thing for me personally is how much potential is here. Some of the game
None. There's no potential. That's the problem. The whole base of this game is bad. The characters are stupid, they're poorly designed, the world is boring, the world looks stupid and unbelievable. At no point you are immersed in the game. The weapons are dumb, the weapons feel bad to shoot, the abilities are dumb, and there's maybe like 2 or 3 abilities in the game that don't feel bad to use. The traversal for most classes is bad, and for the ones that it's good, well, congratulations, that's the only good thing about the game. The bosses are bad, the end bosses are reskins of the old bosses, the weapon mods are bad, the itemization is bad and boring, it's bugged, the missions are stupid, the missions are dull, the missions are boring, and they repeat constantly, okay? And I'm just scratching the surface here, and I already think I named like 20 different things.
gameplay, the feel of shooting the guns, some of the traversal feels really good. And some of the banter and the voice acting and stuff can
The banter is dumb, except Captain Boomerang, who's Australian, and that's a mental illness.
be cool. The world they built, this metropolis is interesting. We kind of get to see Arkhamverse DC heroes. Also, the concept of like a story of Kill the Justice League, the potential was there to do something unique and different. I mean, they killed Batman. People didn't like it. There was a way to kill Batman that actually would have been pretty cool and interesting, but they squandered.
Dude, when this game also initially released, the criticism about it was so stupid. And that's because everyone wanted to play as Batman or Superman. One of the criticisms about this game, which I, by the way, defended and still do, is, oh, why do we have to kill the Batman? Can't we just save the Batman? You're the Suicide Squad, you absolute zero IQ dolt. What do you mean, save the Batman? No, you kill him, and Harley Quinn just popped one in his skull, and that was great. I actually loved it. You are the baddies. How stupid do you need to be to play a Suicide Squad game and be like, ah, yes, here is where we save the Batman, save the world, and now we can play as Batman. How about no? How about you stop just for a second, relax a little bit because you clearly need to, and think just a little bit.
And wasted every opportunity.
Arthur is actually posing a threat because
Coming from a developer who made such tightly designed, incredible single-player experiences, it's hard to describe just how disappointingly basic everything is. The whole game
Why is Captain Boomerang using the boomerang a little bit? I don't get it.
is spent on repetitive, time-wasting activities. There are only a couple of little mission types. The open world map is actually kind of small, and the campaign is super short. And then the end game, I don't
And stupid.
even like, it's not really much, and everything they've released since has not been enticing. I don't really know what more to say about this one. It still kind of hurts to talk about because I don't know. I love Rocksteady. I love Batman. I was hoping something good would come out of it.
I do not, by the way. I do not love both. Anyway, that was Game Ranks 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye bye.